PlayStation is a gaming console from Sony Computer Entertainment. The PlayStation was released on December 3, 1994 in Japan, and a little later, on September 9, 1995, the console appeared in the United States. This console became the first in the PlayStation line. 6 years later, in 2000, an updated version of the PlayStation called P-Zone was released, which differed from the previous version primarily in its size. The updated version was very compact compared to the first. The console quickly gained popularity, allowing it to compete with major brands like Nintendo and Sega, which were already giants in the market at that time. With each passing year, the consoles gained more popularity, especially after the release of the PlayStation 2 in 2000. At that time, Microsoft began to fear that entertainment and multimedia devices of this type would become serious competitors to regular personal computers. Thus, Microsoft decided to create their own gaming console. This was not an easy task, as the market was already dominated by PlayStation and GameCube. In March 2000, Microsoft announced their console, and it was released in the US in November 2001. The Xbox used the same components and technologies as regular PCs of the time for its software. The Xbox was also the first console to include a hard drive and an Ethernet port in its design, enabling broadband internet connectivity and multiplayer gaming. This feature was supported by the launch of the Xbox Live Network service. In the case of PlayStation, there are two versions, PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Digital Edition. The difference between them is minimal. As the name suggests, the Digital Edition lacks an Ultra HD drive, but otherwise the consoles are nearly identical. For Xbox, the situation is somewhat different. There are also two versions, Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S. The differences between them are significant. The Series X is the flagship model, equipped with an Ultra HD Blu-ray drive, a 1TB SSD, and support for games at 4K 120Hz and upscaling to 8K resolution. The Xbox Series S is considered a more budget-friendly version, lacking a disk drive, with an SSD of only 512 GB. While it is less powerful and does not support games at 4K, it outputs at 1440p and 120 Hz. Looking at numbers and specifications, the Xbox outperforms the PlayStation in terms of power. However, it's important not to overlook a critical parameter: optimization. Let's take a closer look inside these devices. The PlayStation 5 operates on an 8-core AMD Ryzen 3 processor from the third generation. It also features a custom graphics chip based on the AMD RDNA2 architecture, running at a variable frequency of approximately 2.23 GHz. The PlayStation also includes 16 GB of GDDR6 RAM and a 4K UHD Blu-ray drive. The console's total computing power is 10.28 teraflops. Now for the Microsoft console. It runs on a custom 8-core AMD Zen 2 processor with a frequency of 3.8 GHz. It features an RDNA2 GPU with a frequency of 1.825 GHz and a performance of 12 teraflops. Like the PlayStation, it includes 16 GB of RAM and a 4K UHD Blu-ray optical drive. Now about the controllers. Microsoft doesn't change the design significantly, while Sony has moved quite far from the design of previous generations and offers more functions, such as a touchpad with a microphone and speaker, as well as a gyroscope. The main feature of the DualSense controller is its dynamic adaptive triggers, which change the resistance depending on the events in the game. For example, the click of a button and the tension of a bowstring are perceived completely differently, adding a variety to the gaming experience. When it comes to backward compatibility, Xbox takes the lead. Microsoft has announced support for games from all previous console generations, even with improvements in graphics and frame rates, though not for all games. Additionally, with the Smart Delivery program, you can buy a game for Xbox One and later launch it for free on Xbox Series X. The price of both PlayStation and Xbox is approximately the same. Since the Xbox is considered more powerful, if picture quality is your top priority, it's worth choosing Xbox. However, It's also worth noting that the PlayStation is an excellent choice and surpasses Xbox in some aspects.